A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu was-salamu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilman. So, assalamu alaikum. Our verse of reflection for today comes from Sura Anam, which is chapter 6 of the Quran, and the verse is 109, where Allah says, "Do not revile those whom they call upon besides Allah, lest they should revile God out of enmity, ignorance." So this verse from Surah Anam cautions believers not to turn to offense and aggression in the middle of an argument, especially on matters of faith. So many of the verses that we have been discussing are giving kind of the same message. Don't give in to poor behavior. Do not give in to aggression, into poor communication. It also provides a solid reason why it's not a good idea to do so, because such behavior will most likely lead to a retaliation for like for like. So when we are in the midst of an argument, we all know it can be so easy to become triggered and angry, especially if we sense we are losing an argument. In other words, the person on the other side is more eloquent, they have a greater command of the language, whatever it might be. We can become aggressive, attacking that which is most sacred to the other in an effort to prove our point, to either to hurt the other person or to defend ourselves. And so this verse reminds us that such tactics simply do not work. Behavior like this, when we attack the other person, what they believe in, will lead to tit for tat, competition that will only increase anger, bitterness, and hostility between the arguing parties. A verbal assault, we need to remind ourselves, has the same impact on our physiology that a physical attack does. When human beings are thus attacked, their rational brain goes offline. It is not capable of responding, and they regress to their most primitive instincts of fight or flight. So when human beings are attacked, they will either attack the other or defend themselves, using whatever means they have in their power. Often they will resort to attacking our most vulnerable areas or our most sacred beliefs. In other words, when we resort to attacking what is sacred to the other, the outcome of such a conversation or discussion cannot be good. It will leave both parties feeling angry, aggressive, and hostile towards the other. In a faith context, this is easy to see, but it's the same in political context, even in personal contexts. So in family arguments, for example, sometimes we see that couples, when they're in the midst of an argument, they attack things which are most precious to the other person, their family, their mothers, their own sense of self, all of that. And this can only both invite an attack from the other person and really be destructive to the relationship. So especially relationships that are important to us, that we need to keep, we need to have very strong boundaries of what we will and will not bring in an argument. Obviously, people have conflict, and it is important to discuss areas of conflict and have arguments about that. And there are some areas which should be sacred, that you will not go, that you will not attack, that you will not bring into the argument because they're so important to the other person. So this verse is a powerful reminder in our personal, spiritual, and political lives whenever we find ourselves in the midst of a dispute. Let us maintain respect for each other and mind our words, using logic and reason rather than hate, aggression, or attacking what is important to the other person to make our points. And as believers, we're expected to show this highest level of decorum and behavior towards friends and opponents alike. This is, of course, more true than ever before when arguments on social media, like I keep saying, often disintegrate into hateful and offensive comments as people hide behind the screen to say things they would not have the guts to say to others in person. The screen being behind a typewriter, behind our phone, can add a level of bravado. I wouldn't call it courage, but bravado to the person to say things that they would not dare to say to each other in public. So, another thing to remember is that whether we like it or not, fair or not, reality is that the whole is judged by its part. Every single one of us in the Muslim community is an ambassador for the whole Ummah. And those who wish us ill are purposely baiting and triggering us all the time, waiting for us to slip, to fail. And let us use this verse to remind ourselves not to fall for these traps. So, how can we do that? First of all, remind ourselves that we do not need to engage or respond right away. Whether it is in person, we can always pause, breathe, and especially on social media. When we give ourselves the grace of time and gather our thoughts, breathe before responding, we can use that time to remind ourselves of the larger goal and that none of this is personal. That we need to keep the bigger picture in mind, what is important about this. And we can always practice, and do more practice. So inshallah, we will continue with our series tomorrow. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.